Welcome everybody to the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship Under 13 division. I'm Funmaster Mike, bringing you all of today's action, which will come to you in two parts. But let me first reveal my other partner, Grandmaster Ben Feingold, formerly known as Benzu. Ben, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm ready to be Benzu again, because when I was Benzu, I was a little kid, and I used to be better than little kids, and now I have to watch the ones who were better than me play for the championship. So I'm very excited about it.
They are little in stature, but most of them, in fact, all of them have FIDE titles. It's going to be very exciting. The last time that I worked with Ben, most of these kids weren't even playing chess. So anyway, let's take a look at what we're going to see today. We have 12 of the brightest young minds all over the world from many different countries playing. 6 of them will play here with you at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And then we're going to come back with another 6-player field this afternoon. You can see there's 2 groups of 6. Double round robin, Ben. These kids are playing 3+1. They're pretty fast. And the goal in each of these groups is to finish in the top 2. So 2 out of the 6 players will advance to tomorrow's knockout semifinals and finals. Semifinals will be best of 4. Finals will be best of 6. So top 2 is the goal today, Mr. Ben.
Yeah, and I think unlike a lot of tournaments I've seen in my life, I think all 6 players in each group have good chances to finish in the top 2. And this is my favorite format, double round robin, because you get an equal number of whites and blacks. You play everybody twice, so you can get revenge. And I think it's the fairest system. And after having a double round robin, it would be mean to let one person qualify out of the 6. So we're being nice today, and we're letting 2 of the 6 go on to tomorrow. So I really like the format.
Yeah, it is the most fair format. Most of those ratings you see on the screen are actually a little bit lower because these kids have been gaining points so fast we can't even update them. Let's take a look at our 6 players in Group A. Those are the ones that will be playing here this morning. They're from 6 different countries. FIDE Master Andrei Negrin from Romania, FIDE Master Wiktor Golis from Poland, Matthias Kasalaspro, another FIDE Master from Brazil. We have Candidate Master Ashwath Kaushik, holder of the record for youngest player ever to beat a Grandmaster. He is one of 2 9-year-olds playing today. We have Mark Smirnov, a FIDE Master from Kazakhstan. He is the World Under-12 champion. And we have FIDE Master Reyaansh Chakrabarty from Sydney. I don't want to know what time it is in Sydney. As usual, Ben, we have to apologize to our Australian players. There's never a good time. Reyaansh, I'm sure you're excited, though, and I'm sure you'll be up and alert and spry for today's action.
Yeah, that's more than I can say for me. But not only do I not know what time it is in Australia, I don't know what day it is. So getting all the kids online before the round when they're all over the world is a difficult task because it's always somebody doesn't know what time it is or the wrong time zone. But we did it today. Everybody's ready to go.
Yeah, and by the way, Reyaansh and Ashwath, despite being based in Asia, they've been playing in Europe the last couple of months. So I'm not even positive they're in Sydney. They could actually be in Europe. They are already international players. And like I said, they're all FIDE titled, but I've been researching them. And some of them have gained as much as 150 points in the last couple of months. So some of them have jumped up to, well, beyond my rating. And unfortunately for me, Ben, I have realized that I've accidentally trained kids that can now beat me because Ashwath learned how to play chess on ChessKid when he was 4.5 years old. And that's what I get, right? You've trained a lot of players to beat you, and that's how the world works.
Yeah. A lot of my students are better than me. And, you know, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I could beat 10-year-olds. And now I refuse to answer because I don't want to incriminate myself based on how I do against 10-year-olds now. So
yeah,
kids can be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, but they're very, very strong. It's a good time control for them. I think most of them enjoy blitz. And I'm just happy to say I'm not in this tournament because I wouldn't finish in the top 2. So it's more fun to commentate than play. And you expect some more mistakes in the 3-minute. So it's going to be exciting to watch. And hopefully people who keep their composure and blunder the least will make it onto the finals.
10 is the new 20 in chess. Let's take a look at the first round pairings that we're about to see. The first moves are going to be coming in any moment. We have Andrei versus Ashwath, the battle of the A's. We've got Matthias against Mark, the battle of the M's. And, well, Wiktor and Reyaansh, the battle of similar flags? No, Poland and Singapore will face off later. They've got similar flags. But that's what we're going to see in the first round. As Ben said, the most fair format in chess. In fact, if in every tournament we could do double round robin, that would be the fairest. It just doesn't usually allow for a lot of players when you got double round robin. But 3+1 today, the Title Tuesday time control, if I'm not mistaken. And, $1,500, Ben, are on the line. Every player receives money just for playing. And if you advance until at least tomorrow, you get a minimum of $500. But $1,500 is the first place. $5,000 is the total prize fund. And pretty cool for these players to get invited to a tournament and be able to play from their home. Funny story, Ben, the parents have a role. We saw one of the players' parents adjusting his trophies behind him to make sure he looked good. We didn't see him like adjusting the hair, the whole mom lick the hand and adjust the hair. We didn't see that.
But the parents say Jadu when they were adjusting. That's important.
Parents have rules too. Okay, I think we're actually off and running. And so we're going to just jump into the action. And here we have Wiktor Golis of Poland playing against Reyaansh Chakrabarty. And we have a Carlsbad pawn structure. Ben, what do you see on the board? Take it away.
This looks like it came from a funny Carol Khan, although I'm not sure that it did. White is cementing control of the E5 square, and black is saying, yeah, but you didn't develop your queen side, so I should be fine. And white wants to get a big attack on the king side, sometimes do a rook lift with rook f3, rook h3, get the knight from B1 to the king side, and Black's main issue in this variation is the bishop on c8, which is blocked in by the pawn on e6. Bishop on c8 is passive. White's going to play aggressively for an attack. And typically, I think when you're playing blitz chess, if the position's equal, but one side's attacking and one's defending, you get a bet on the attacker. And first thing I said today was right. White did do a rook lift, rook f3, wants to play rook h3 and put pressure on h7. And I guess at the moment, White doesn't care about queenside pieces, just wants to attack the black king.
Yeah, and I've always felt in these positions, if black goes for the typical minority attack, which black is now doing by playing b7 to b5, pawn is going to go forward again to weaken this pawn. Black is going to weaken white's pawn, while white is going to checkmate black's king. So it never seems like a fair fight. But maybe black's defenses are more resilient than I think with this move g6. How is white going to break through now that the bishop's diagonal has been shut down?
It's a 3-minute game, and this is modern chess. So I expect soon white's going to play g4.
Got it. And after g4, is white going to play for f5? That does help release black's bishop a little bit, but it also weakens black's pawn structure. So is that the main idea, f5?
I think eventually I'm going to play g5.
Okay.
But also, I could try to swing my queen over to h4, and hard for black to defend everything on the king side there.
Yes, indeed, that is true. The g6 square, actually, the knight may have wanted to use at some point, but the pawn has been chosen. And yeah, it's a little tricky to guard this knight if the queen swings herself to h4. Let me ask you, if that was white's plan, did white play g4 to prevent knight f5 as a response to queen h4?
Yeah, it prevents knight f5, it prevents h5, it prevents knight h5. And also, it's very scary. When your opponent plays knight e5, g4, rook h3, you want to have more than a minute and a half on your clock to figure out exactly what white's going to do on the offense. And so, as I said earlier, these positions in blitz chess are much more difficult for the defender.
Absolutely. Now, there was a big advantage for Wiktor on the clock. Reyaansh has caught up a little bit. While we wait for this attack to progress, let's move over to a different game to see if we can get to all of the games here in the opening segment. This is the game with Andre Negrin from Romania with a big-time Chess.com rating of 2,600 against Ashwant Kaushik, the youngest ever player to beat a Grandmaster. He was 8 years old when he did it. He's 9 years old now. He's an old man. And Ben, we're just going to pick up the action here from the middle game since these games are coming in so fast.
Yeah, white sacrificed a pawn on the queen side and built a big center. White's attacking in the center. Again, in blitz chess, I want to have white in these positions because white has the initiative. White has the big center. Black has the extra pawn, which probably isn't going to be super important until the end game. But the middle game is going to be super complex. Right now, black's doing a good job on the clock. Black is slightly ahead on the clock. Once black gets less than 30 seconds, these positions are very difficult to defend for black. But so far, I think black is doing a reasonable job.
You're exactly right. We have some big action in the one game we've not looked at yet. Mark Smirnov, the black player here, seems to have a massive advantage. The white king has been denuded of a lot of his kingside material. And in fact, just when we clicked over, we see that Mark Smirnov has won against Matthias Kalalaspero. We need to go back. We need to see exactly how this game was won so very quickly. The game was relatively equal up until this point. Let's pick it up from this part here,
now,
Ben.
I think this might out here. In the beginning of the game, they played a pawn sacrifice in the Philidor, and about 4 years ago, I made a video series on Chess.com of this very pawn sacrifice. So you can still see it on Chess.com. White plays g4, which is a favorite of Shirov's in this position. And then black can take the pawn or decline the sacrifice. White gets a big initiative. But I guess in this game, it just didn't work out for white.
I actually remember that video of all things because it was so shocking. Now, white played rook g1 to not make it a sack, but obviously
rook g1 first. Yeah.
Similar ideas, of course. Yeah, but it did not work out. So somehow you played this better than white did. The bishop went back to c1, weakening the d4 pawn. And after the H file was opened, Ben, black captured, white took back, and now black started getting things going on the F2 pawn. The knight is, of course, pinned.
Mm-hmm.
F3, oh, never move your
Never
F pawn
play
without my
F3.
written permission. Yeah, never play F3.
Never
Knight
play
goes
F3.
back. Okay, the threat was queen takes knight, followed by queen takes, and then knight takes F3, which would fork the king and the queen. So white didn't really defend because queen takes D4 is still possible. And there you go. That was the move. Queen
Yeah,
takes,
that attacks the rook on G1. So now black is just winning.
yeah, up a knight, up a rook. And that is how the first win happened. If we're going to go back, let's see how the other games are unfolding. Victor Golis has also won his game. Let's just see very quickly how he finished things off from this position. This is about when we last picked it up. And he did bring his knight in the game. He did not play G4. We're going to very quickly see, because I want to get to the final game. The king was totally busted and a checkmate on board from Victor. Super quick, and I'm sorry I had to go through it so quickly, but we've got 10 seconds left approximately for each player in Andre versus Ashwant.
Okay, now if white has two bishops, white has a passed D pawn, white has a passed B pawn, black is very passive. And since we last looked at the game, white has won his pawn back. It's equal material now. Now C5 is hanging.
Yeah, white was starting to trade rooks and win the knight, so the knight moved. And the rooks are traded anyway. Those bishops are still
only has 2
looking.
seconds left. Yeah, terrible.
That's a big problem. The 1 second increment is going to help a little bit, but yeah, how to block the D pawn? I don't know.
No, he just captured
it. That's one way. Now the knight's still in a terrible pin.
Good for white. That knight is super pinned.
Okay, black has gotten out of the pin, but
either
apparently
side could lose on time here.
Absolutely true. The knight has found its way out of the pin, but now the B pawn has taken the place of the D pawn as the one to fear.
Yeah.
He just hung a knight, but what else was he supposed to do? The B pawn was going downtown.
He thought white was going to play B7.
Yeah. And now checkmate is coming. 7 seconds left to find it. And we have 3 winners in the first 3 games. White took 2 out of the 3. Black won 1 of the games. And yeah, if that's any indication of how things are going to go, we had a queen sack, we had a checkmate on board, and we had this exciting endgame. So very, very productive round 1 for those of you trying to find some good action.
Now, in the double round robin, do they play each other again or they play later?
I believe they play later. Yeah, I believe they play later. That's the way our system is set up.
You got to wait for revenge.
Yeah, but you don't have to wait that long. There's actually only a couple of seconds in between rounds. So let's go ahead and get ready for round 2. As I mentioned, we have 3 winners in round 1. It is a race to finish in the top 2. It doesn't really matter if you finish first or second, but the goal is to get in the top 2. Then you get to advance to tomorrow. So we're waiting on round 2 here in the ChessKid Youth Championship under 13 division. By the way, Ben, one thing we do know about this year, we will have a new winner from last year. Last year, Grandmaster Yej Erdemis of Turkey, he won both the under 13 and the under 16, but there's one problem with Yej's game. He got too old for the under 13. He will play under 16.
Yeah, well, he's going to be the favorite in the under 16.
Yeah, he kind of has to be. The under 16, by the way, will be coming up in early June. So we've got about a month in between the under 13 and the under 16. Got some other stars playing in that one. We've got Alice Lee, we've got Tani, we've got Fausti, we've got Yej. It's going to be an exciting under 16, but this is cool too.
Maybe he's not as big a favorite as I thought he was. Yeah, we
Okay,
got a Carol Khan. We have another Carol
did
Khan.
he hang his queen? Oh, no, there's a checkmate threat. Okay.
Yeah, bishop f7 mate.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, it is theory to not hang mate on move 7.
Well, we have 2 Carol Khans today, or this round. And then we have a funky King's Indian in the other game, where white played a very early b3.
Yeah, just looking at this game here, Ben, black is playing incredibly quickly, hanging pawns all over the board. If we just go back, there's been a couple of queen sacrifices, but actually this knight sacrifice is the first one we should look at, because if the queen takes, bishop takes b5, wins the queen. So if we go back to the game, it turns out black lost another pawn very soon after. After b4, the knight retreated, and then it took on g7. This is just looking very bad for black. but maybe black's got something going that I don't know about.
Well, black has some compensation, sort of accidental, because the white bishop on c1 is going to have a problem getting out, and black's bishops are going to be pretty nice. But I think mostly losing those pawns was an accident. Now black has more open space for their bishops because the pawns are gone. And again, if white never gets the bishop out of c1, it's going to be difficult. And black is attacking g2. White's king is going to be on e1 for a while. White's going to try to castle queenside. That's what white's doing. c2 is protected by the bishop very far away on h7. So there's no queen takes c2 shenanigans. And I guess if white can castle and play king b1, he should be up a pawn or two.
Amazing resourcefulness, and I need to give Reyaansh some credit. He played so quickly. I wonder, is it possible that he knew this? I mean, he was down 2 pawns, and the computer says totally equal. For a moment, he was down 3 pawns, and the computer still says he has full compensation. So I need to give credit where credit's due. I think Reyaansh might know something I don't know, which is not surprising at all. So great job by him. Or he just got a great poker face and didn't fret when he lost those pawns. His king is looking a little loose, though. He moved his f pawn, Ben.
Yeah, he just played king e8, preparing to castle queenside. Sometimes these little kids don't know the rules. Oh, wait, he can't castle queenside. The queen's on h4.
Right, multiple reasons. It's not even freestyle chess where you can seemingly castle whenever you want.
3 pawns, it still says it's equal. Wow.
Yeah, I wonder, is our eval bar needing some coffee? Maybe our eval bar is not working. But yeah, king e8, that's some deep stuff. Can't say I really understand how black is getting full compensation, but I guess there's just no safe place for the white king to hide for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. Black has an active rook on the 7th rank. Black has active bishops. Engine doesn't like castling. Seems like a very normal move. Especially in blitz chess, you don't want your king on e1 the whole game. Although white does have a big time advantage. So black has to prove compensation.
Not the kind of game I want to play in 3+1, let alone classical. So queen check, and now I assume black doesn't want to trade queens, but if he doesn't trade queens, the king has to keep walking. So it seems like not great places.
Well, it could be that black can trade queens because the white bishop is trapped on h7. So that could be the reason the engine doesn't mind being 3 pawns down, because the bishop on h7 is not well placed.
Very astute. It might be that white has to give the bishop and play like the 3 pawns versus the piece. Now, white's rook is hanging at the moment, but I don't want to play 3 pawns versus the piece when black has those 2 beautiful bishops. It seems like the bishop is going to be better than the 3 pawns.
No, I agree. And engine actually favors black in this position.
Fascinating. I'm going to actually keep it here rather than switch over to the other games, just because these kind of imbalances are quite fun. Now, black does have to take the time to win the bishop, of course, but rook h8
right,
presumably will be
coming. Bishop takes f5 because he has rook e7 check afterwards.
Yeah, very cool, Ben. Nice find.
Save the bishop. That's good.
Yeah, bishop to d5, just to show that to our friends here. If black plays a random developing move like this, or even if we bring the rook all the way over to h8, which is probably a more likely move. Let's see if we can get that move on the board. Rook to h8. Ben finds bishop takes f5, a nice resource to free the bishop because rook check wins the piece back. So let's go back to the live position. Bishop to d5.
Yeah, and white doesn't want to lose that bishop on h7, but it's possible that it's too late for that.
Okay, yeah, white's burning some time here.
Or rook h8 next move and draft the bishop. Okay, white wants to trade rooks on g4, then the bishop can escape back to d3. Bishop f3, defending the rook and attacking the rook. I like that move.
Absolutely. It's possible that these players have played before. These are our 2 Asian players, Reyaansh from Australia, Ashwant from Singapore. So maybe they're familiar to each other. Don't know. Okay, so bishop f3. It looks like you have to trade rooks at some point. Who does the trade of rooks help, white or black?
I think anything that leads in the next 2 or 3 moves to black winning the bishop on h7 would help black. Then good news for Black. Black was way behind on the clock, and now Black is ahead on the clock.
It feels like a win. Ooh,
Bishop
nice
Bishop
idea.
G6 to play F3 if he takes it.
Yeah,
And
king takes F3. I thought the rook wanted to stay on the d file to try to play d5 and free the bishop or get a strong d pawn, but this is a very clever move. Now the rook has to find a home, I guess. Rook g2 still wins the piece back. Overall, seems like a net win for white to free the bishop in this way, but the computer still says black is doing well. So maybe black is just going to get a cavalcade of kingside pawns.
Ooh, it doesn't like king g5.
Okay, king walks in, but for the moment, black's pawns are stymied, and white has this lasting 3-against-1 advantage on the queen side.
They're repeating. White should play bishop g3, I think, and defend that h-pawn. Wow, they repeat it again.
Yes, and it is a draw. Our first draw of the event.
I think the game just ended.
It is. Yep, Smirnov and Wiktor also got a draw. We've got one game still in progress. So we're going to very quickly move there. 7 seconds left for our Romanian friend, 12 seconds for Matthias, our Brazilian friend.
Okay, what's going on here? It's an equal rook endgame.
Equal, but white has the better side of equal. 4-against-2.
Ooh, and that pawn. Should have played king d5.
Yeah, I think eval board.
White should be winning now, 4-against-2.
Yeah,
and that was even very, 4-against-2. That was very fortuitous, winning that b pawn.
Absolutely. I'll also remind our viewers that even when it said equals 4-against-2, really, really hard to hold something like that. You've only got a few seconds left, but he's got to watch his clock. He's only got 6 seconds left to convert this.
Yeah, white has the better king. White has 2 extra pawns. But yeah, the clock is always the enemy.
And white doing a good job keeping as many pawns on the board as possible. Eventually, he's going to play e6 and undouble his pawns. Now it might be a good time, but he chose to play rook f6 instead. He's going for more pawns. The king has to take a very passive position. Okay, by the way, the most unfortunate move on the board would have been king f5, rook f1 mate. He actually avoided self-mating there. I won't go back to show it because it didn't happen, but there was a possible self-mate. Okay, back to the game. White's still completely winning, but has 4 seconds to convert. Uh-oh. Don't trade too many pawns. Again, computer says draw, but Ben, very tough to hold this with only a couple of seconds left.
Yeah, I think black should have played rook g4 earlier instead of king g7.
Crazily, the computer says black should not have won the pawn, and the eval bar just can't decide what it likes here. It looks like black might bail out by trading the rook for the e-pawn, and then the rook's going to have to give itself for the e-pawn, and then white's going to have to give himself for the h-pawn. Only trick for white would be to... Yep, the pawn's not fast enough. Going to be a stalemate, perhaps? No, he's going to make him give himself the rook for the pawn.
Good defense by black.
Yeah, absolutely. And rook and pawn games so difficult in classical, even more difficult in 3+1 chess. Okay, Ben, 2 rounds are in the books. And if my math is correct, we only have one player who's got a perfect 2 out of 2. That is Wiktor Golas of Poland, starting out with 2 out of 2. And Andre Negran has got 1.5 out of 2, a plus score. Mark is even. Mark, by the way, played the World Rapid and Blitz in New York City in December. He beat 5 GMs in total in both the Rapid and the Blitz combined. So he's no stranger to playing strong players. Ashwant has a draw. Reyaansh has a half point as well. Everybody's on the board. Matthias has a half point. And that is where we stand after 2 rounds.
Wow, very exciting and quick games. It's hard to analyze all the games when they're all 3 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's like Title Tuesday, running around and focusing on the action. But we're getting to everybody, and the field is starting to shake out a little bit. We will see if Wiktor can protect his lead. It is sometime in the afternoon over there in Poland, so he should be pretty awake. Matthias is in Brazil, so it's a little bit more in the morning hours, but he's doing okay. And yeah, I'm excited. I actually don't know any of these players except for Ashwant. I met Ashwant at the World Championship this year. Did a quick interview with him. Very pleasant fellow and very pleasant family. One funny story I did in my research. see, we don't have any game. Oh, we do have some games going. Let's actually move over to Reyaansh's game because I have a little story to tell you. He's been interviewed a couple times by Cigar of ChessBase. And one interesting tidbit, Ben, not only is Reyaansh getting better at chess, but his dad is getting better at being a chess parent. Reyaansh's dad admitted to studying Magnus Carlsen and Gukesh's dad to see what is the best way, what is the most effective role of a chess parent. So that is a chess playing family when the dad is studying to be a good chess parent.
Mm-hmm. Studying the other dads. I haven't heard of that. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Another Philidor. You know, it's Philidor
is another Philidor. Ben, do you play the Philidors, Black? I'm trying to remember back in the day when you were an active player.
Occasionally, maybe like once a year, throw it out. But yeah, I don't play it as my normal opening.
Here comes maybe one of your signature expressions after knight takes pawn. Are we going to see knight 5?
Likely. Maybe not now, but pretty soon.
When I use one of your signature expressions today, do I have to put $1 in the cookie jar, or what's the rules on that?
That's correct. Although because of what's happening recently, it's $2.
Well, somebody pointed out in the chat, you've got some catchphrases. I have no emote in Twitch chat. So Chess.com, you got to work on that. Give me a good emote. Chat, I'm wondering if you think that Wiktor will be able to protect his lead. Let us know in the chat who you think is going to advance. Remember, the top 2 advance. So why don't you throw 2 names at me, chat, and we'll see who you think will advance. I see Mark's got a Chess.com blitz rating of 2,700. That might be the highest. I'm not quite sure.
It's a pretty high blitz rating. It's higher than mine.
Definitely higher than mine.
Yeah, white has more space. White has the nice pawn on e4. Black's bishop on c8 is very passive. So white is slightly better here. Black's other pieces are pretty good. Black has a solid position.
And Mark is taking a page out of your playbook, Ben. He's in a gamer's chair, just like you. So that adds at least 50 points to your rating, or in your case, 50 points to your dad jokes.
That's correct. And I think it takes 50 points for my rating. I think for me. I think as you get older, it goes in reverse. Ooh, bishop e6. I was complaining about his bishop. And knight f5, as you suggested.
Yeah, I like to see knight f5. It looks like white might want the bishop here, but under his own terms. If white had taken the bishop, then I don't know. Black may have taken back with the pawn and played d5 to blunt the power of this bishop and line up with the queen. But now white gets the bishop pair under his circumstances, and the bishop is still lined up with the king in a very menacing way.
Yeah, the engine says black is doing just fine, but I like the 2 bishops. Problem white has is the queen on b6 is pressuring b2, so it's hard to complete development with a natural bishop move. Seems like all the bishop moves for white on c1 go to a good square, but we're hanging b2, and white played bishop d2, which engine doesn't like. I assume because black can take on b2.
Yeah, sometimes this is a poison pawn. We do have a video on ChessKid about that. And sorry, black made a move. So let's just go back and take a look. Was it a poisoned pawn? Now, if this rook could go over here, if the queen was forced to go to a3, we'd have bishop takes f7 check, winning the queen. But the problem is c2 is hanging. So it doesn't really work. And the computer said that black probably should have taken. But instead, black didn't take. And if we go back to the game, black just played knight back to d7. The rook defends. White has completed his development, and now white can attack without having to worry about the complete destruction of his queenside.
That's right. If we can go back to that position, I think what black was worried about is after queen takes b2, white can play e5. That attacks the knight on f6. Then the queen protects c2. So now white's threatening your rook eb1 and taking the knight. And the engine doesn't care. But if I had black in this position, I'd be pretty scared.
Yeah, absolutely. There may be a defense, but you're going to have to find something rather miraculous. So good find there, Ben. That could have been what black was worried about. We're back to the live position after this move. Let me see if I can get to the live position. We are in the live position after bishop to e5. And a quick correction, I thought I had an emote on Slack. Apparently I do. So there you go. Either my brain is bad, which is true, or my colleagues add one really quick, which is possibly also true because they're quick. But anyway, there is one of me. So there you go. If you enjoy looking at funny pictures of me, you'll find one on Slack.
Well, if anything that I say is wrong today, which is very likely, it's because I woke up at 6:20. So I have a good excuse.
Yes, you are being a good father, and your family thanks you for that, and the Twitch community thanks you for joining us. So 50 seconds left for White, 25 seconds left for Mark Smirnov in that gamer's chair. I believe I'm in the live position, and I am. So it's a pretty long think here about
Black's been
what to
thinking
do.
forever. Wow.
Yeah, strange usage of time, if you ask me. But anyway, the bishops do trade the d6 pawn.
The time is not.
Okay, so Black has managed to unbackward his d pawn, if I can make up a new word. But all of White's pieces are going to get to good squares here after the rooks double. Do you guard the a pawn, though? Does not guard the e pawn. Just goes for, oh, the knights are overworked. If Black were to capture twice on a4, rook to d7 would spell destruction of the Black position.
Very strong.
Yeah.
Good tactical eye. Black has 8 seconds, 7 seconds.
Yeah, just really tough to defend. And again, Black is never going after that a pawn because he will lose control eventually of the d7 square. So White is just completely ignoring the fact that his a pawn is hanging because it's not really hanging. And there's some poking and prodding.
Reyaansh
White is just going to continue.
Really young, and he's 26-40. Wow.
Yeah, and only 10 years old for Reyaansh. So the second youngest to play today. Ashwant is 9, and Reyaansh is 10 by my math. I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, knight back? Was there a tactic? I guess not. Okay, but if you're White, one of the things you can do to win these positions is just keep giving your opponent things to worry about. And eventually, with only 3 seconds left, Black may very well flag, having to constantly worry about White's threats.
Yeah, position's about equal. Nobody's done anything bad this game. Trading pieces. Black just hung their b pawn. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, Black finally tried to make an improvement move by rerouting the knight to d4, but in the process lost the entire queen side. And now it's a winning position. Only 1 second left to defend a losing position. Worse on the board, worse on time. But it's not over yet. Mark does have that really high rating. He's got experience. Mark
One of the games ended in checkmate from the other boards. Goalless won again.
Wow. Goalless is 3-0. Mark, our reigning world under 12 champion, by the way, trying to defend this worst position. And unfortunately, this is the worst kind of endgame to defend with a knight. You've got 2 passed rook pawns. Mm-hmm. It takes a knight forever and a day to get from one side of the board to the other. Yeah, just going to use the
you're 2,700 in blitz. You're the world champion, and then everybody beats you. That's what chess is.
Okay, White sacrificed a knight to win in style. Reyaansh is going to take this one, and in fact, Mark does lose on time. 3 rounds are in the books, an impressive endgame there by Reyaansh. And again, he did what we kind of suggested, just kept poking and prodding until Mark blundered, but you can't really blame him. He held up for as long as he could.
We have 1 game left, but White's going to win.
Thank you. I didn't even notice. I thought we were all in the books, but here we go. Let's celebrate Matthias.
White's got more time, so.
Matthias gets back to an even score. Wiktor, though, looking great as we enter our first break. 3-0 for Wiktor. Nobody else has a positive score. Reyaansh and Andre got back to equal. Mark has a win. And Matthias also has an even score. This win just updated. So, very top-heavy so far. Looking like Wiktor has set himself up well to advance in the top 2. But as far as who is going to finish second, well, it's a long way to go. Even Wiktor hasn't punched his card yet. A lot of players are on an even score. Mark and Ashwant, certain not out of it. Only 3 rounds out of 10 are in the books. Ben, as we go to the first break, any thoughts on our opening segment?
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. We saw Carol Khan, Sicilians, Villadors. We saw checkmates on the board. We saw a lot of games where both players had less than 10 seconds. So this is as exciting as I expected it to be.
Absolutely. And as we saw, their Chess.com Blitz ratings are even higher than their FIDE ratings with that K factor of 40. Their FIDE ratings are catching up pretty quickly. So that was a very, very exciting opening segment. We're going to go on a short break. And after we come back from the break, we will see round 4 action. They are still playing the first set of round robin before we go to the rematches of all the round robin. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, ChessKid Youth Championship under 13 division resumes with the opening pool play.
I'm Gotham Chess, and I'm about to film the most extreme chess challenge I've ever done. I'm gonna be playing 4 games at the same time, and every kid is gonna be armed with a giant super soaker gun. Let's see if I can win all 4 games. Okay. Why did I sign up for this? This is like extreme sports. Oh my gosh, I can't even see. These two are like really brutal. I feel like I haven't even been attacked on that side. Why are you all defending your kings? Like, just let me win. Okay, all right, that's fair. I'm gonna be so excited when your water guns run out of water. I'm just gonna like... Oh yeah. How about you all do it at the same time for like 30 seconds straight? Hey, it's just... Yay! I play this. It is mean, yes. How does she still have water? Oh my god. Checkmate. Good game. For some reason? Well, that means he probably enjoys chess, right? For some reason. No? That was so fast. I'm down to 2 boards. Ah! How do you still have so much water?
I haven't played.
Okay, no problem.
Before I move to my checkmate, I just yeah! I'm done.
Okay, yay. Ah, I had a feeling she was lying. That's checkmate. Good game. I can sacrifice my queen. I'm just saying, you're so mean. Ah! Good game. You lasted the longest. I'm trying to shake your hand. Woo! That was very fun. Thank you for volunteering. You know, actually, I feel like getting revenge.
Students, did you know that you can get a discount on any Chess.com premium membership? If you're enrolled in a college, university, or high school in a participating country, you can get 50% off any yearly or monthly premium plan. Diamond, platinum, or gold. That's unlimited game review, unlimited puzzles, unlimited bots, unlimited lessons, and no ads. All at 50% off. Go to chess.com/students and get your discount today.
My name is Jules Schulman, and I am joined by Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana to figure out how well you and Hikaru know each other.
Oh, okay.
So I have questions for you. So how many subscribers on YouTube and followers on Twitch does Hikaru have combined?
I saw something recently that he got 2 million on Twitch, so I saw the announcement somewhere. So going 2 million Twitch and 2.5 YouTube, I'll say 4.5 million total.
Wow, I think that's exactly correct. Yeah.
Actually, I don't check his channel, but I just remember seeing the announcement like 2 days ago or something. So some luck there.
How many times has Fabiano won the US championship?
Okay, so Fabiano, he didn't win in 2020, so at least there's no asterisk. He's won it 4 times. 4 times he's won the US championship.
Correct. When is Hikaru's birthday?
Oh, when is his birthday? I actually don't think I have any clue. I'm gonna say end of the year. I don't know why, but like I know Magnus is in December. I'm gonna go Hikaru in November, but I wouldn't even be able to guess the date, and probably the month is wrong, and I have no idea.
December 9th.
Oh, should have gone December.
What state was Fabiano born?
Also very easy. He was born. He was born in Florida, but more specifically Miami.
In what popular HBO series did Hikaru have a cameo in a few years back?
This one I know because I was also invited. But then they went with Hikaru. It was Billions.
At what age did Fabiano become a grandmaster?
Okay, became a grandmaster at 15. He definitely broke it. I'm trying to remember, was he 15 or was he 14? It was like 15 years, 87 days. For whatever reason, I don't know for sure, but for some reason 14 is not ringing a bell. So I think he was also 15, but like just a couple of days. So I think it was 15. If he was 14, I'd be surprised, but I'll go 15.
I think it's 14 years, 11 months.
Ah, it was younger than 15. Okay.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship. PogChamps are over. Real chess is happening. Don't mind the fact that they're 9, 10, and 11 years old. These are masters playing at their best. I'm back with Grandmaster Ben Feingold and Ben Zhu. How excited are you about watching these kids play?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect beforehand. I thought we'd have exciting games. That's what we have. We have some very high-level game moves. We have a couple of mistakes because the time control is so fast, and that leads to a lot of excitement. And it's hard to look at all three games at the same time because they're going so quickly. But we'll give you guys a taste of what's going on. Try to get to every game, and hopefully we'll have a clear. In fact, I'm going to ask you, Mike, if there's a tie for second, well, what happens?
I believe we go to a playoff because, in a double round robin, there's not a lot of great tie breaks that you can use. You can use Sonnenberg-Berger. I'll have to look into that. It's a great question. I did not read the rules that carefully, but it would be exciting if we had to go to a tie break just to be able to advance. Wiktor Golis, so far, 3-0. Part of the Polish Renaissance. Poland has these junior events that get like 1,200 kids, just like random, I'm not going to say random Polish cities. My roots are in Poland, so I love the country. But there is a renaissance going on in Poland, and Wiktor seems to be part of that. Battle of upside down flags here, Poland versus Singapore. For those of you who like study of flags. And let's start there. We've got Wiktor playing white, Ashwanth playing black. We have an open Sicilian. Ben, this is a really important game for Ashwanth to turn things around. He's still searching for his first win.
Yeah, white played very unusual bishop f4, secret illegal prep, pawn sacrifice. Black seems well aware of it. Black's playing quickly. So we have some modern theory here, very complicated. That's what we expect in the junior tournaments, like good opening prep, complicated position, and then we see what happens when the players get in time trouble. White's down a pawn, but White's threatening the bishop and knight c7 check.
That decision to trade knights meant that the knight, which was on e4, no longer guards d6, and now there's two different knight entry squares, and this bishop, which has to move somewhere, can't guard both squares. So black maybe a couple of moves ago, if I can just squeak back here, maybe black should have kept the knight by playing a move like, I don't know, d5. I don't really know what the line should be here, but that's go back to the live position. And the knight does make its way into d6, and it looks like big trouble in Little Singapore for Ashwanth.
Yeah, that knight is awesome. Bishop on c8 is bad. The rook on a8 is bad. Black's going to have a bad king for the rest of the game. Compensation, black has an extra pawn. White has a bad pawn structure. But as I've told my students over the years, pawn structure takes a backseat to piece activity. White's pieces are more active. Black's king is in more trouble. So position is to be favored for white, but it's very complicated. And if white doesn't press the attack, black can escape. Black has an extra pawn and a better pawn structure. So it could go either way. Right now, white is for choice.
Yeah, especially in a 3+1 game. And by the way, Wiktor just got done playing in Reykjavik, where he drew Simon Williams. This looks like the kind of line that Simon Williams might play as white. Just, no concern about king safety or pawn structure. Just go right after the black king. And of course, this bishop. He may be looking at various bishop moves. Any bishop move will threaten mate. Unfortunately for white, there's probably no crushing bishop move just yet that I can see.
That's right. The most interesting move is bishop g5. And I think that forces black to play f6. Although the engine just changed a lot. I wonder if black can throw in bishop takes c3 check, confusing the audience.
Wow. Yeah, I did not see that move at all. F6 is certainly my first thought, but bishop takes c3 might distract the queen away from f7. And then if white takes, then the queen can take. So it looks like white should probably not go for this line.
White's been thinking over a minute this move, Mike.
And plays bishop e2 after the long think.
Wow, white's already down a minute on the clock. Ooh, knight d4. Exciting.
Yeah, out of nowhere, black is so far behind development with a king that can't castle, and yet he's playing knight d4. But the computer says it's totally cool. It just goes to show you any move can be played at any time for the right reasons. Ashwan's showing some moxie getting back in the game after knight to d4. Now, do you just take and force king takes?
Then black can play king e7. It's a double bomb cloud.
Exactly. Neither king is going to castle in this game. Pretty exciting. By the way, it should be noted, Ashwanth, only 9 years old. That means he can actually play in this exact event for at least 3 more years. That's how impressive he is. He was 8 years old when he beat that grandmaster last year. Queen f6 is happening. And I should also mention very quickly, Singapore is also experiencing a chess renaissance led by Grandmaster Kevin Go. The World Championship was there. I visited an international school, Ben, with 3,000 kids, most of whom played chess while I was there. They all knew my name, which is crazy. I'm in the middle of Singapore, but very cool to see what's happening in Singapore.
Yeah, that's great. There's a youth revolution of chess around the world, and we get to see the benefits when we do broadcasts like this of the best players.
This knight is going to sit there absolutely forever. Black's problem is that even though he can eject the knight by playing bishop c7, this bishop will just take the place of the knight one day, at least white hopes. And then in an opposite colored bishop position, white is going to be definitely for choice. So black is making overtures about getting rid of the bishop. So Ben, I wonder, is bishop f4 answered by e5, keeping the bishop away from the knight?
Yeah, and I mean, white's not going to lose material, but I like e5. And I don't like that white has 5 seconds on his clock.
Also, yes, 5 seconds is worth, I don't know how many pawns, but certainly at least one. Black is up a pawn, up on the clock. White's only big thing is the fact that this knight is a massive thorn in black's side. e5 did happen on the board, and the bishop is kept away from the d6 square.
And then knight f5. Good job. Only 3 seconds left.
Yes, computer doesn't like it, but I'm not really sure what else white was supposed to do except just acquiesce to the bishop taking the knight. Now, I wonder if you're black.
Knight f5 is just normal move.
Okay, so bishop c5 is definitely a thing. Other than bishop c5, black might want to play d5 and just sack the pawn to develop pieces. I'm not even sure it's a pawn sack. But after d5 right now, bishop check, and the king is running really, really short on squares. So probably not a valid idea.
Okay, white's catching up on time. Black had a minute on the clock 2 moves ago. Now black is less than 20 seconds. e4, nice tactic. I like the way all these crazy things are happening and the engine says equal. Ooh, it doesn't look like queen d4. That just hangs the knight.
Okay.
Yeah,
black
white
is
has
now up
1
a piece.
second left, so the truth hurts.
Yeah, back rank mate just has to be stopped. h6 or g6 both look relatively equal unless there's a perpetual, but h6 looks a little more common. I think black could care less about the pawn. Black should just play d.
First non-win.
Yep. It is looking really good for Ashwin to get his name etched in the win column, and that will bring Wiktor back to earth, back to the field. We have those 3 players on an even score. They're going to be pretty happy to see that that Wiktor is suffering his first defeat, unless something incredibly crazy happens. 4 seconds for Ashwant, though. Got to be a little careful here.
Yeah, but white gave up his queen for some reason. That wasn't good.
Okay, black looks like he's going to take things. Queen takes d1 is one way to win. This is also fine, of course.
It's hard not to win.
Well, you don't want to hang your rook here. Okay, should be a mate. Queen G. No, mate. Sorry, just kidding. Oh, got to be careful. Okay, Queen E2 found.
Very
so
good.
if he loses,
Queen E2 is excellent.
Yeah, Queen G1 would have been faster, but this gets the job done too. Probably going to throw his G pawn down the board. And then we had a resignation. There we go. Things are getting interesting. Congratulations to Ashwanth, our youngest player in the morning play. The 9-year-old beating Wiktor. Wiktor is the Euro Under-12 champion. And we need to go on to some other games. We have one game still in progress. I misclicked. Let me see if I can find it.
No, they're all done now.
Okay, I clicked it too late, unfortunately.
Wait, somebody doesn't look very happy in that video.
Yeah. I believe that's Mark. Yeah, Mark is looking rather dejected.
A player who didn't win a game play a player who won all their games. The player who didn't win a game won. Anybody can win this tournament.
Absolutely. So I hope that he recovers. Mark, get yourself up. I know you can't hear me, but Andre beat Mark, and Andre does have those beautiful chess trophies behind him. So Andre, there's no official award for best background, but you are running out of shelf space, Andre. We need to get you more bookcases because he is completely full of trophies. Let's take a look at the standings there, Ben. There we see it. First loss by Wiktor, but he's still on top. We have two players that won that round and got themselves to plus scores, Andre and Reyaansh. And we also have Ashwanth getting his first win. Matthias still very much in it, tied with Ashwanth for fourth place. And then we have Mark, who can recover. There's lots of time left. If you win the rest of your games, you're almost certainly in. 7 points would definitely get you in. So definitely still controls his own destiny.
Very exciting round. No draws.
And in round 5, Ashwanth is going to try to keep it going against Mark. We hope Mark recovers. Andre against Reyaansh, very important round. And I believe the games might already be starting. So let me see if I can find my way to round 5. I've unfortunately minimized my screen, but okay, it's found. And let's take a look at Ashwanth. Actually, you know what? We just did Ashwanth. Let's take a look at Andre versus Reyaansh. Okay, let's try to spread the wealth a little bit here. Andre white, Reyaansh is black. Romania versus Australia. Ben, take it away.
Yeah, so they have some kind of Queen's Indian Catalan sort of mix where black is playing for equality. Black has pressure on the c4 pawn. White has more space. And you would see these kinds of positions in a lot of super grandmaster games. They like these kinds of positions for both sides. Eventually, black just wants to equalize. And what happens often in the blitz chess, this is sort of a secret that grandmasters know, so I don't know if I should tell you. When you have a position where one side is fighting for an advantage, other side is fighting for equality, usually in blitz chess, the side that's fighting for the advantage won't move and gets a big time disadvantage trying to increase their advantage. And black is just like, equalize, get an equal position. That's exactly what's happening this game. White's trying to find a way to get an advantage. Black is defending well. Consequence, White's a minute behind on the clock.
There you go. And the beautiful thing about telling me Grandmaster secrets, Ben, is that they will never be employed over the board because I really don't play anymore. Funny story real quick before we get back to the game. One of Sagar Shah's great chess-based India interviews with Reyaansh. Reyaansh has become such a big star in Australia. It's his goal actually to become the youngest Grandmaster ever from Australia. That he's actually getting players to call him up and give him opening lines. Like random people are just calling up Reyaansh to help him in his tournament. So that's cool to see Australia bond as a country like that. And he's got, I don't know, like 4 or 5 more years to become the youngest Grandmaster ever from Australia.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if any of the players in either section become the youngest Grandmasters in their country. We already have an IM playing this afternoon.
That is true. Who is trying to become the youngest Grandmaster from Canada. We'll get to Aaron Mendez later on. So White has solved the problem of the pin on his knight. He's doubling up everything on the C file. And what is White's plan? Would White ever play for E4 here?
Yeah, I think one of White's plans is to play E4. if White doesn't like his position, then that's what I was going to suggest. He could play knight b1, defending his a pawn, try to trade all the rooks off, and it seems like White's playing for equality now. White's bishops aren't very good, and White is just playing to equalize the position because White has a big time disadvantage, and Black solved all their opening problems.
We've got some Aussie friends in the chat talking about the female tennis player Ash Barty. So I don't know what happened to Ash. I don't know if she retired, but she was definitely a great player for the Aussies. And yeah, good to have you stay up with us and root on your countrymen, if in fact you are Australian, or maybe you're just rooting for Reyaansh. I'm not sure.
Fans all over the world. Okay, White
Absolutely.
played h4, which gives Black g4 square for their knight. The engine really dislikes White's position. Looks like White just hung their a pawn.
You know what would be neat, Ben, is if we invented a computer eval bar that also took into account the relative value of the clock. That would be interesting. But
That would
yeah,
be
in an effort to free
confusing,
the...
but I like. Well, Black's a pawn up, Black's winning on the board, and Black's winning on the clock. Could be two in a row.
Pretty good. Looking pretty good for Reyaansh. And yeah, the problem with Andre is he tried to free his position and his queenside collapsed in an effort to free his position. So sometimes making progress is the worst thing that you can do.
Yeah, now it's funny. The tables have turned, and Black is looking for a way to increase his advantage with the pieces on the right squares, and that makes the clock times get closer to equal. But Black was ahead almost 2 minutes on the clock, so Black shouldn't have a problem with the clock, and Black doesn't have a problem with the board. This is looking good for Reyaansh.
It is. And just to tie a bow on an earlier conversation, in fact, we were right after the Queen's trade. If there's a tie for second place, because that matters a lot for tomorrow, there will actually be more chess played. It's a little bit different if there's a tie for first place, because that doesn't matter as much. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all the tie breaks yet because they're not quite pertinent, but there will be more chess played if there is a tie involving one of the advancement spots. And the queenside pawns have been fixed. Yeah,
it's important they do tie breaks on the board and not look at some mathematical formula. So I like that they get to play extra chess.
Yeah, especially in a double round robin where there's not a great tiebreak to use, if you ask me. Okay, Black is trying to create a problem on the other side of the board. This is called the theory of two weaknesses. When you give your opponent things to worry about on two different sides of the board, it is exponentially more difficult to defend than just focusing on, let's say, this one extra pawn.
Yeah, Black wants to put pressure on the h4 pawn, get it past h pawn. White doesn't really have a lot of counterplay. I can't suggest a way for White to attack pawns or get a passed pawn. Black is having all the fun.
Yeah, we've seen this a couple times today. Worse position and less time, not an enviable thing to have happen. We've actually seen, I think, Ben, some pretty good conversions. The player that's been better has not really let go of the advantage very often in the games that we've seen so far today.
That's correct.
Ooh, now you can play bishop versus knight. This is actually maybe not so great. Imbalances are sometimes the key to endgames, and now it's not so easy to use your extra pawn. And the knight can stay on c5. Oh, allowing the pawn to come forward. No.
Yeah,
all you have to do is keep your knight on c5. Yeah. And actually, we should say, Ben, for the second time today, Andre has been let down by a move meant to create progress that has actually allowed his opponent to break through.
And he had less than 5 seconds on his clock, so it's hard to blame him. Wow,
That's
he almost
true,
lost
yeah.
on time there, but he made it.
Yeah, but he is losing on the board. And, well, I think it's time we move on. I think we can trust that with 34 extra seconds and an extra bishop, that Reyaansh will win this one. We're going to move over to Ashwan's game. And we're going to look a little bit at Matthias next round. I realize we haven't looked at Matthias quite as much today, but let's focus here because Matthias's game is over.
Another rook and pawn ending, even pawns. Both sides have
activity of the rook is. You're exactly right. Now I was just going to say, activity of the rook is often worth at least a pawn in rook and pawn endgames. And White's rook got very active there despite losing the d pawn. But can't ignore the fact that Black's got connected passers. Black is actually going to give up his rook for the pawn after b7.
Yeah, this isn't looking good for White. Pawns are too strong.
All right, there we go. Mark, you did recover on the board. You recovered emotionally. You got another win. You are back in this. So, Mark, even though you can't hear me, you're doing well to recover.
3 decisive games again, Mike. No draws.
Yep.
Bloodthirsty tournament.
That shakes up the standings. It looks like Wiktor went down again. First 6 players are playing this morning in a double round robin. The top 2 will advance to tomorrow's semifinals. And coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern, the endgame is the easiest one to win is king and pawn, then king and knight, then king and bishop, then king and rook 6. Wiktor suffered a couple of losses in that segment. If my screen is right, I know there was some issue whether or not he had suffered a second loss. Okay. We do have Wiktor at 4 points, so but out of 6.
No, I think you're right. I think Reyaansh is in first now.
Right. There's a game missing because Wiktor has played 6 games and I only see 5 results on the screen. So Reyaansh, though, should be ahead with 4.5 points. And then everybody else still alive in the race to try to join those two. We've got 4 rounds left, so it's actually our largest segment, Ben. A lot to be played for. If my math is right, no player has been eliminated in the race to try to get one of the top 2 spots and advance to tomorrow. So will it be Australia? Will it be Romania, Poland, Kazakhstan, Brazil, or will it be Singapore? I almost looked at the flag and said Indonesia, and then I would have lost the entire country of Singapore forever. Although I do love my Indonesian friends.
And you were just in Singapore.
I was just there, yes. And to be fair to me, you can get to Indonesia by just jumping on a boat and you're there in 2 seconds. But in any case, enough geography. The chess has been very exciting. When we come back from this break, we are going to get going with our conclusion of the ChessKid. I didn't get my rounds wrong, right? We are going into round 7. Yes. We're going into the conclusion of the opening pool play of the ChessKid Youth Championship under 13 division. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we will see who is able to advance and play tomorrow in the semifinals and finals. Well, it's time. Fun Master Mike is here for the worldwide premiere of Sour Chess. And my opponent today is going to be Inya. Inya, how are you?
I'm good.
You ready to eat some sour stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like sour stuff?
No, I don't.
When you capture a piece, you get to make your opponent eat something sour. We have a whole range, and we're going to get to that. All right, are you ready, Inya?
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck. All right, let's get some Sour Chess on. We're going to save the Japanese umabashi for the victor. Inya, where are we going first? Okay, we're gonna go for the toxic waste. All right, so toxic waste, Fun Master Mike is gonna dig in. It could be like a watermelon type color, let's see. Okay, I think you have to get past the first part. It's definitely getting worse. I think we're gonna continue the game with this in my mouth, it'll take a while. Okay, here we go. Guess what? What? You're not done yet, my little lady. This could be worse because, okay, that smell, if it's soft, I'm not sure if it's soft, but if it is, you can like bite like a half of it or a quarter of it. Is it soft? Okay, it is soft. Let's see how this goes. Okay, her lips are blue and pickles aren't even blue. Yeah, okay, I don't know who your dentist is, but I think he's gonna stay in business after this. Be funny if I couldn't get the jar open, right? This looks terrible. Your favorite one. You do not have to eat the whole thing, but you have to take a bite that shows me that you've chewed some. Umabashi. I didn't know this word existed until we started planning this video.
This looks really bad.
Just pinch off. I have no idea what it looks like. It was a plum, okay? It looked like a real piece of fruit. Yeah, it's hard to show. We'll show the camera. It's gelatinous and it's probably terrible. All right, Let's see what we got. This is the conclusion. Is it terrible?
It's terrible, yeah.
Is it worse than the pickle?
Yeah, yeah.
Really? I have to say, thank you, Inya. You're a good sport. You are part of history. This is the first ever game of Sour Chess.
What's up, everybody? We're back for another episode of Chess.com Reads. With me here is Dylan Rittman. He is a senior product manager. He builds a lot of, well, you don't actually build things. What is it you would say you do, Dylan?
I hide behind the developers that actually do the work and build the things.
There you go. That's the best thing to do. Hide behind the developers. I'm hiding behind everyone else as much as I can. But we are now going to do iOS and Google Play Store reviews. We've done support tickets, Dylan. Those can get wild. We've done people who don't like getting closed for cheating, but today's going to be different, and I think you are the man for the job to answer for all the developers that you normally hide behind. So let's jump in.
Let's do it.
The best chess app so far. Used it for years and loved it. However, the frog screech on illegal move is just terrible. Please make it go away, or at least give option to mute that one sound only. Valid sounds are great and make the game feel realistic, but the illegal move screech is annoying. And all I think about while playing Bullet is that I will not play another game until I have a chance to calm down. I know the rules. I don't need the audible clue. My move was illegal. The piece won't move.
Wow. First of all, I never realized it was a frog screech. Like, was that intentional, Dylan? Did we, like, go into the wilderness and, like, record a bullfrog? I've never actually thought about what the illegal move thing sounds like.
Yeah, no, Eric has his pet frog for all these years. I think we got that into the studio and kind of just let it rip for a while.
It honestly checks out. Thank you to the review there. But jokes aside, I don't know what to say besides you have the option to mute your sound. Although I will say I would be in favor, Dylan, of a feature where someone could choose their animal noise or do the old McDonald's spin for whatever animal noise they want for illegal move. Like, I actually would go premium for that. Different animal noises for illegal moves.
Totally agree. I think I just needed like another dog barking, cat meow. Like every illegal move should be slightly different to, keep it fresh a little bit. Keep it going.
And then we could add themes like street noise for those in New York who are just looking to go to sleep with, noise of the city. Like, we could actually get creative here. So feature request accepted, and Dylan will get that on the roadmap right away.
Welcome back, everybody, to the exciting conclusion of the opening pool play of the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship. Our opening pool 6-player double round robin. The top 2 advance to tomorrow's semifinals and finals, and I have advanced to get to work with the great Ben Zhu, Grandmaster Ben Feingold, joining us for the conclusion. Ben, what do you think is going to happen? Any predictions?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of decisive games, and I think there's going to be a big fight for first and second. I'm not counting anybody out. We have a clear first and clear second now, but the other players are hungry, and it's a long day. And in blitz chess, it's easy to go on a streak, either a winning streak or a losing streak. So nobody's out of it yet. And I think the players that are in third and fourth place especially will be fighting for those top spaces. So it's going to be an exciting end to the day.
Yep, there we see the standings. I'm going to say 7 points definitely punches your ticket. 6.5 might. So Reyaansh and Wiktor probably just need to get about 50% or maybe a little bit above. But Andre and Mark need to be thinking about big scores. Matthias and Ashwanth might get there with 5.5 or at least get to a tiebreak, but they pretty much need to win out. They need to be thinking about going 4-0 to have any sort of chance. And Reyaansh is actually playing against Ashwanth, so in a battle of top ender and bottom ender, we're probably going to start there. Again, Reyaansh can probably cruise to 50% and probably advance, but Ashwanth absolutely needs this game to have any chance of advancing.
Yeah, I think the players aren't thinking that, like, I need this many points. I think they just play every game to win, and they want to get as many points as possible. I think that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, I agree. When you're playing with 6 players, you can't be thinking about, certain results in round 7. You've just got to play the chess game and hopefully you sneak in there. The players probably snuck a peek at the standings during our break, but here we go. Reyaansh, our leader, at 4.5 out of 6 against Ashwanth, who's got 1.5. And we have another book pawn sack. I assume it's book, of course. E4 was not really hanging for nothing.
Yeah, we have very sharp Sicilian. White played rather modern rook G1 against the knight Orff, and get this crazy position. Try to see whose memory is better and knowing their preparation. Looks like White's out of prep, thinking a long time now, and this is the kind of exciting position that we expect to see. We have 2 Sicilians and a Philidor this round. So all the games are going to be exciting, and still a big fight for first and second.
And although it's a totally different position, I'm going to hope rook G1 in the opening works out a lot better for Reyaansh than it did for Matthias in round 1 in that Philidor. But that's a totally different opening. Rook G1, kind of modern. In fact, I've got a video on ChessKid about early G-pawn advances. And yeah, this move that was inconceivable, if I can borrow from the Princess Bride, when I was a kid. You would never play rook G1. Now is like a very fashionable move, and you don't even bat an eye anymore when you see it.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody have a peanut? Okay. Try to get my reference into. Knight C5 question mark. That looks completely normal. And chess is hard. Play the most normal looking move and the engine says terrible.
Absolutely. And we should get back to the chess, but I should say these are the 2 Asian players, and you should never get involved in a land war in Asia. We should probably put the Princess Bride off on the silver screen and focus back on the digital screen here. D5 lining up with the queen. Knight takes D3, wins the queen.
Yeah. Wait, it doesn't like Knight C5. It doesn't like D5. And this looks like super sharp. This looks super complicated.
Yeah, these are just moves that activate your pieces and make threats along the way. Very strange for the computer not to like to make tactical threats. But yeah, there is one on the board. Knight takes D3 is a problem.
Yeah, Black didn't mind sacrificing his B pawn because White can't castle kingside. So if White castles queenside, Black's thinking I have the open B and C files. Those look good. Now Black's threatening Knight takes D3 check, winning all of White's pieces. So White's on the back foot, but for some reason the engine says, yay, White's doing great. In a blitz game, I want to have Black here.
This is the first time today I snuck a peek at the engine because I could not understand D5. The engine says bishop B5. Come on with that bishop B5. That is... And then the computer says, don't even take the bishop. Move the king to D8. Because if you take, apparently queen takes. And then, of course, if you move your knight, then the bishop goes down. And now if you move your king, let's say, to this square, then, okay, you're going to fall out of your chair here, Ben. Knight F3.
Always retreat.
That's not a real chess move. I mean, okay, the threat is to take the knight.
The computer's fooling us.
I don't even want to see the rest. I really do not want to see the rest. Let's
Bishop
go back.
B5, Queen B5, Knight F3. We can get fair play involved. So that's good.
Yes. Yeah. Fair. These players are being monitored and they're totally trustworthy. But yes, that would be very, very strange. I'd want to know exactly who that player's. I'd want to know who their player's coach is, because that would probably have to be something that was prepped. But back to reality.
Yeah, the engine doesn't. Well, Bishop B5 check. There we go.
Here it's a little more comprehensible, because a knight getting to B5 to me makes a lot more sense.
Wait, it doesn't like Knight B5. Man, the computer's mad. This position is too complicated for humans. That's what Spassky would say. This position is for analysis, not for playing.
Yeah, Miss Spassky, got to meet him once. Queen takes B5. I guess the point is that if the king walks to the D file, you're just going to castle and line up the rook with the king. And you can't block with the knight because, as we said before, you lose the bishop. So if I'm reading the computer's tea leaves, the silicon leaves, that is the reason it preferred queen takes.
Yeah. Yeah, the game is super sharp. Black's up a piece. White has 3 passed pawns. White's threatening knight C7 check. The game is very confusing. So it's tough to keep your timing on your clock.
Yeah, I was going to say, not the worst position to play as Black if you're trying to win, but one of the worst positions I can think of to play with less than a minute on your clock.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be either side here. Rook C8 exclam. Players are playing very well considering how complicated the position is.
The knight is too
C7
strong. You got to take the knight.
Jack attacks the knight. And the engine doesn't like any of these moves. These moves look good to me.
You got to take the knight for one simple reason. There's just no good king move. If you walk to the d file, the rook's coming over, and if you walk up here, you lose the knight with check. But yet he does move the king. Absolutely fearless, and maybe it's okay.
Oh, it says exclam. King D7.
So rook D1, knight D3 must be the move. It's the only move.
Yep.
Counter check.
So
check, counter check.
Winning. No, black's a piece up.
I guess you know we're about to have 3 checks and 4 moves. If the pawn takes, then rook takes knight is the third check in 4 ply.
As per usual. And or something that never happens.
Yeah, very strange.
Okay, both sides are getting very low on time. White's down a piece. Black's king is on D7. Engine likes black. Black is tied for last place. White's in first place. White's the one in trouble with less time. That's the way chess goes. You're never safe.
Absolutely. This would totally shake up the event if Ashwanth is able to hold on with his extra piece and convert. Although he's only got 6 seconds and his king is in the middle of the board. See, rook takes bishop, collects 2 bishops for the rook, or, whoa, did not see the queen hanging.
I like the way the
Nice
engine
find
said it
by
was
Ashwin.
equal.
Yeah.
Now it says black's winning. It doesn't like rook B6. But okay, both sides have like 2 seconds left.
Okay, Ashwanth just needs to consolidate a little bit here. He's just got to get his other rook in the game. A reminder, he has moved his king. For those of you yelling for castling, it's illegal for 2 reasons. Oh, gives a bishop. Probably didn't see the rooks doubling. I know he's going to get himself mated. Oh, no.
Wow.
Reyaansh
can't believe his. Wow, look at him.
Yeah.
So the winner goes the spoils. Yeah, he's laughing because he knew he was losing. So he thought it was funny that he won.
I think it's safe to say that it is not the middle of the night in Australia. And even if it is, he's got some energy left. Before we talk about the standings, let's move over to Wiktor, who needs a win to try to keep pace here. And he's swarming all over the black king. He's got 5 seconds left. A draw is not the worst result. And he may just go for it. He may start collecting pawns with check.
Yeah,
collect another pawn with check.
Wow, black almost loses on time every move. These kids are fast.
That was not a great decision by Mark to walk over and allow all of his pawns to get captured. I think white was going to acquiesce to the draw had this not happened. But now if you're white, press your advantage, press your clock.
Both sides have 1 second.
He pushes. Black can trade queens and does. That's very smart by black to go into this. Now it's actually
the H1's the wrong color. So black's playing for a win now.
Yep, almost shades of the final world championship game with the bishop ending with black up a pawn, but not quite.
Yeah, this is pretty drawn.
Okay. Well, Ben, draw is not the worst result for Wiktor, even though he loses another half point off first place. You only need to finish in the top 2. So not the worst thing in the world that could happen to Wiktor. Although, it looks like Andre won.
Clocks get down to under 1 second.
Yeah, as well you should. Imagine their parents watching. Like, how must they feel? Are they going to play this out? They're going to play it out. Okay.
Well, white has a lot more time than black. Black has to not flag.
True. Are we going to see a dirty flag?
Not sure why black isn't trading queens. Black has 2 seconds.
Okay, forced trade.
There we go. Both players are upset.
Okay. And if we look at the standings after that draw, I'm just going to wait for it to update on my screen. A lot of interesting things happened in that round. Mark, once again, wearing his emotions on his sleeve. But he has gotten himself back in the event here. I think he's 2.5 out of his last 3. So the problem for Mark, I think, is that the third place player, Andre, won. So the distance between Mark and a qualification spot, I think Wiktor was able to beat Andre. Think of how important that game is for the standings. Andre trying to turn the tables now and give his opponent a defeat. So we're about to get going here. One of the games has started, but we're going to stay here because, again, this game is so consequential. Andre versus Wiktor in a battle for second place. Should there be a decisive result, that player will have done immense work in the battle for second place.
And also the battle for first. Good chance.
That is true, too.
They start late because
a small,
more important.
Could be. There's a small advantage in going for first place because then in tomorrow's semifinal, you play the second place of the other pool play, the one that comes up later on this afternoon. So it's not like freestyle chess where you get to pick your opponent. Okay, we're not doing Jan Buettner rules, but you do get to play presumably the less strong of the very strong. We'll put it that way.
Theoretically, anyway.
Yeah.
These players are tied for second. The top two go on to tomorrow. This is round 8, I believe. It is. And we have very positional, slow, no trading pieces. And then when both sides have a minute left, all heck is going to break loose. It's going to be super complicated.
That is the theme of the day. Krishna21234 says, I'm loving how invested Mark is. I can tell you are not a relative of Mark because everybody else who sees Mark is probably feeling the same emotions he has, especially if you're close to him. But yes, these players absolutely, just like any other competition that they're playing in, they care a lot about the results. And trust me, they know they're on the world stage. Okay, they know that there's 5,000 some odd people watching, maybe more. They're not actively thinking about that, but they want to perform their best in this fairly high-profile event for these 9, 10, 11, and 12-year-olds.
Yeah, when I was younger playing in open tournaments, sometimes you'd be on the stage and sometimes you wouldn't be. And when I was on the stage, I was like, don't blunder, don't blunder, don't blunder. Because then everybody looks at your board and like, what's that idiot doing? So I tried not to blunder, make a horrible move whenever I knew people were watching my game.
Yeah, and the flip is also a little bit in play. Ben, you can tell me if you agree. The 1 or 2 times I was on one of the big boards with a display, the extra, when I had a good move and I knew it was a good move, I waited for a few extra people to come watch because I wanted the crowd. It didn't happen often, like the one time, right?
Yeah.
Opposite sides castling. We haven't seen very much of that today. Yes. But white is trying to punch a hole in black's queen side by throwing some pawns up the board. But if black does the same, black's got to get through 4 pawns. He does have the half-open H-file, but it looks like white can make a little bit more progress here because there's a little bit more, let's say, pawn dynamicism on the queen side.
Again, F5 is like the only move I would think of. And black played it, and then it says the question mark. The engine's just trolling us at this point.
I guess because this knight will do a long lap to E5 one day. It's my only thought.
Yeah, but our knight on E4 was attacked, and I didn't want to go back to F6. So F5 just makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Opposite side castling, half open H file for black, pawn storm for white. Never play F3. Engine says X clan. Well, the engine really hates me today.
Okay, but F3 does take away that knight square. Of course, the knight could still get to E5 through the D3 square. He's got another route on Google Maps. But again, white goes back to my original plan of getting a punch, a little hole created on the queen side somehow.
Yeah, again, the engine says white's better, but if we had the Mike Klein engine, it would be more towards the middle because of the time situation.
That is true. Is white's advantage worth 30 seconds? I don't know. We're still going to work on programming that one day.
Look how concentrated both players are. Totally focused on the game.
Absolutely. And these players are from the same rough part of the world. So I wonder if they know each other from junior events. Andre, by the way, has gained 150 points on his FIDE rating in the last 3 months.
Wow.
He actually
is
drew
that
a
just as
2600.
impressive if I've lost 150 points? Is that also impressive?
Well,
That's not
it's
easy
more
to do.
impressive for you because, yeah, your K factor is not 40, so you have to work a lot harder to lose that
I
many
got to
points.
play really bad. Yeah, I'm getting there. Hey, White played your idea. The engine didn't like it.
Such is the nature of our commentary today. But
Yeah,
the night was so bad.
95 UGD.
There's
Wow,
even some
G5.
positions where you love the idea.
Confusing the audience.
Okay, so if the pawn takes, where's the knight going? Oh,
that's what I would
the
do.
pawn did take.
Boy, the engine
F4
doesn't
in
like it.
between moves.
It likes white.
Yeah, but if you're black, you have to try something because black sees these pawns inexorably coming up the board and nothing was getting broken through. So I'm not, okay, probably the engine, of course, is right? It's much better than you and me will ever be. But from a practical view, you got to do something on the king side.
No, I agree. It's a blitz game. You got to play the right blitz move, not the right computer move. You got to give yourself some action so your opponent has to take time on their clock. And again, the engine doesn't know that white has 30 seconds, and we have to make the game super complicated so that white either loses on time or blunders in time trouble. And we know that we're human. And white has a very big time disadvantage. So black has compensation for the pawn. And the engine doesn't like knight e5. Again, that seems like the most natural move. Ooh, pawn takes. I don't like pawn takes. Ooh. That's a move I don't like. I've never not liked a move.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to keep black's e pawn as a backward pawn, but he loved the d4 square even more for the queen. Of course, after king b8, the question is begged. Actually, knight c6 is maybe even better move.
Also good, yeah.
Knight c6 might have been a better way to eject the queen.
Boy, both sides are playing for mate. Both sides have 15 seconds left. It's too exciting.
Yeah, black was threatening queen g3, rook takes h3, and then doubling rooks and mating. That's like a 4-move plan, but white was scared of it enough to get the queens off the board.
Black doesn't mind the queen trade because black's knight is better than white's bishop. Black just doesn't want to get mated.
Yeah, I think if you're white, you might want to think about getting the queens off the board here. Oh, kips the queens on, and that's a really risky decision with 3 seconds on your clock. I'm not brave enough to do that.
I think he lost on time.
And there we go.
Yeah, you lost on time. See, the engine says
it did lose on time.
We don't have your engine. Now, your engine is a good idea.
Perhaps in this game it is. Andre doesn't look too worse for the wear, though. He doesn't look too dejected at the loss. But yeah, a little bit of emotion there. Wiktor gets the win, and that matters a ton for the standings. Let's see if any other games are going on. In fact, there is one.
There's one game going on, and the guy who's winning the tournament is losing. But his opponent has.
Remember, if Mark wins this, he will be on a tear of 3.5 out of 4 by my calculation, or maybe, I think 3.5 out of 4 if he wins this. But unfortunately, he has acquiesced into a draw, but only 2 seconds left for Reyaansh, for black to hold this.
Yeah, it's just going to be a draw now. Boy, white almost loses on time every move. Well, I like a4 if white pre-moves king takes a5. That was a nice trick. Yeah.
That would have been a nice trick. And
Boy,
again, the ghost of Eric Rosen. Yeah, he's really struggling through every one of the games here, but he keeps picking himself back up off the mat and getting himself ready for the next game. So
I would bet he lost based on that look, but he drew. So
yeah,
I don't look that dejected when I draw.
It would have helped him a lot if he'd won to get back in the standings, but he does have 2 wins and 2 draws in his last 4 games. Reyaansh maintains a slim lead. Reyaansh has 6 points. Wiktor, with that incredibly important win, is now in sole second place with 5.5. Andre slips to 3rd. Mark probably needs to win both of his last games, and he needs some help. He needs Wiktor to not score another win. But Andre is still loosely in it. Mark is loosely in it. Matthias and Ashwant are still playing for pride, and there's a little bit of money at stake, a little bit of difference in the prize money. But that's where we stand with 2 games to go.
Yeah, I think Reyaansh just needs a half a point in the next 2 games, and he's in.
And in fact, we're going to focus on Reyaansh because he's playing against Andre, who is in 3rd place. This is the game that has the most meaning for the advancement. Reyaansh will take white against Andre. And Ben, if I look back at their round 4 encounter, Reyaansh, let me see, would it be round 4? Maybe it wasn't round 4. Reyaansh against Andre was round 5. Okay, that's strange. I thought they would have played in round 4 since it was round 9. But in any case, Reyaansh won as black. That was a round where black won all 3 games. So Andre looking to enact some revenge here on Reyaansh.
Sometimes they don't play in the exact same order to avoid somebody getting 3 colors in a row. That happens sometimes.
Good. Very good point. And I'm pretty sure that's what we have going on in our ratings or our pairings algorithm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, nothing worse than a win is needed for Andre here, if you ask me.
And we have a sharp Sicilian. That's a good way to start.
Absolutely. I know nothing about open Sicilians, and yet they're very, very exciting for the actual broadcast.
My dad always liked it. My dad was a chess master, of course, if people at home don't know. He always liked it when people looked like they were suffering. He thought that was good chess. If you don't look like you're suffering, you're not trying very hard. And as the rounds go on, it's more intense, fighting for top 2 spots, and it's taking a toll on the players. And even a draw can make them feel bad because they're really fighting for those top 2 spots.
Well, I don't mean to make our chat feel bad, but we did have a vote at the beginning of our broadcast today on who they thought would win Group A. And although Reyaansh is leading, Ben, can you guess what percentage of the vote he got?
5%.
He got 0%. No one voted for Reyaansh. Apparently, even his parents aren't voting in the chat.
Yeah. Or maybe they did vote. That's even worse.
Wiktor, by the way, who's in second place, only got 6%. Mark, wow, the world under-12 champion, got 45%, and Andre got 35%.
Yeah, being the world champion has perks. People vote for you. Yeah.
That is true. That is true. So that's okay, though, chat. I'm actually not making fun of you because I had no idea who would win. A lot of these players are a little bit newer on our stage. Their ratings aren't always accurate because they're basically improving faster than their ratings can keep up with. But it's been quite a delight to see them. And we'll see a couple of these same players tomorrow because 2 of them will advance.
Again, black played the most natural move, B5. The engine says bad. I think the engine's just trolling us at this point.
Yeah, it could be.
Natural than
Maybe
B5 different B7.
Maybe because we're doing a kid event, we use kitty stockfish. No, that doesn't exist. We didn't do that.
Exactly. Yeah, don't play B5. It's on the side. Wow, this game is super interesting. If black castle's king side, both sides can play for mate. Black's leaving king on E8 for the moment, trying to build up pressure on the queen side. White wants to jump over the queen by playing F2, F4, but the server won't allow it.
Definitely not. And I've got a question for you, Ben. If white just keeps on advancing here and plays a move like H4, is the exchange sack on C3 something that black would consider right away?
Always sack the exchange, and yes.
Okay.
I would take it without thinking.
Without thinking. Okay, that's better than me. I haven't thinking a lot.
You have to take that knight. You got to mess up white's pawns, get rid of the defensive E4, activate the queen. That's exactly why white is thinking a long time now. White's like, should I play? I can't play knight E2 because my pawn's hanging. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if black takes on C3.
Play it without thinking. By the way, this is king level 53 in the ChessKid lessons. I'm not kidding. It actually is the king level 53. It's exchange sacrifices, but we did not see Petrosian just yet. We just saw D6, and it should be said now if you take and your queen lands on C3, bishop takes B5, right, you'd actually lose your queen. So got to be a little careful after D6.
Yeah, the engine doesn't like knight A2 since black wasn't going to take the knight anymore.
By the way, the engine has now hated the last 7 backward knight moves we've seen in our commentary. Just want to point that out.
Okay, white played queen E3 because white wants to play F4, as I indicated earlier. And now, unlike before, F4 is legal.
An important difference, I would say. G5, though, makes it
G5,
quasi-illegal.
F4. Yeah. They're just
Yeah,
fighting
as we
for the
often
F4
see.
square. So far,
That's
Black's
all it
winning.
is.
Black's controlling F4 more.
Maybe that's why the computer hated knight A2. The computer knew that the knight wanted to come to E2 and guard that square.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, a tiny threat on the board.
I like it. Defends his rook some more, defends his D pawn. The king is perfectly safe on E7. I like that. Man, kids are
Shades
good
of
now.
Kamsky-Karpov. Say again?
Kids are good nowadays. You talking about the Carol Khan game?
Yeah, I'm making a ridiculous comparison. There's like
Man, that was
7
a long
people in the
time
chat who it's like 7 people in
That
the
was
chat who
a long
understand
time
King
ago.
E7.
That was before all these kids were born.
Okay. Maybe that was a side conversation that only me and Ben got. But yes,
That's
Kamsky-Karpov, there was a King E7 move. Don't worry about it. It's not important.
Yeah, it was played pretty early too.
Okay, so rook takes. I would say, Ben, as a whole, white is breaking through a little bit more than black in this position.
Mm-hmm. Black just threatened mate in 1 just to confuse you.
It didn't work.
No, white saw it. Yeah. White has a big time advantage, 20 seconds. And the engine likes white's position better because white finally broke open on the F file. Black is defending F7. Tripling up on the F file. That's the Reyaansh gun.
Love it. There's one other person in the chat who understood our reference, by the way. I would say, Ben, there's been no player today that's really used the clock as a weapon. No Hikaru-esque player. I think every player has been low on time at some point or another today.
Right. Yeah, there hasn't been like a 2 minutes to 10 seconds in the tournament. Yeah.
Right. Okay, black's bishop is slightly better than white's, but white's rooks are better than black's, so we'll see which one ends up being more important. 20 seconds left for each player.
Yeah, white's rooks are more active, but black's pretty solid. Black's defending pretty well. I like black's bishop better than white's bishop too.
As you mentioned, there is Alekine's gun on the F file, even though I believe guns were banned in Australia. That's why Ben went with Reyaansh's gun. We're going to go with that for the rest of the game. Wait, does that hang the queen? No, both queens are hanging. So what a move, though.
Confusing the audience and the commentator. Whoa.
Yeah, I think black almost got himself mated there after rook b7, but unfortunately for white, it wasn't found in the king
you
escape.
can take the d pawn. Yeah, now the position's better for black. Black has 2 connected pass pawns. Black's up a pawn, and the time situation is treacherous for both players.
Yeah, this might come down to a battle of nerves, and so important here for Andre to try to get the win. He needs the win. Reyaansh, honestly, would be happy with a draw given the tournament standings.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think a draw punches Reyaansh's ticket, but pretty lost.
Yeah, very lost now after the loss of that pawn.
For an attack. Wow, look at white's attacking.
Yeah, in fact, does white have a draw here if black's not careful? It's very close to forced perpetual. Oh, it might be mate soon.
Yeah, it's forced mate, it says. Yeah, rook f7, rook g8. Yeah, he's a kitty. Yeah.
Does it work in
now
reverse
he wins the
order?
rook.
Okay, this works too.
Mm-hmm. Pass pawns are tough in blitz chess. Man.
And
White's
Ben, I'm
not
getting
even
some good
winning.
information from my team. If Reyaansh converts this, not only does he advance, but by pushing Andre down, he punches Wiktor's ticket too. It's 2 for the price of 1 if Reyaansh can hold this as white.
That's a wrong colored bishop, so it's a draw. Bishop doesn't control h8.
Wow, amazing. So Andre keeps the slimmest of hopes alive.
Wow.
Reyaansh is probably through anyway, but Wiktor's not quite in yet because his buddy now, who he's fighting for first place with, Reyaansh, could not quite convert. That leaves a lot open. And in fact, Ben, although it's great for Andre, it's also great for the tournament that in the 10th round, there is actually something to play for here because our leader, Reyaansh, was not able to convert that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that could have gone either way. Both sides were winning at different points.
Schwartz against Wiktor, the battle of upside down flags, Singapore versus Poland. And there's a small battle for first place, so we'll see if Wiktor can enact some revenge. By the way, Ben, we are going to do some post-tournament interviews here. We will definitely get Reyaansh on. and be able to hear from at least one of the players after this is over. So again, I don't know what time it is in Sydney, but Reyaansh, we're going to keep you up a little bit later because we want to hear from you and how you were able to advance today.
I'm sorry, he forfeited the last round because it's past his bedtime.
All right, I'm going to look it up because we've been talking about it for a while. Time in Sydney, assuming he's playing from Sydney and not from Europe, it is almost 1 a.m., but we'll ask him. We'll probably be able to tell if we can get his camera up, if it's dark in the background or not. But we do thank our Aussie friends. I apologize, as I always do. There's no great time to accommodate you, but I do love life down under, and you guys are great hosts when I go visit Australia.
I've never been to Australia, but I'd like to go.
It's a great place. I was invited there in 2020 to their junior championships on the Gold Coast, and everybody was so pleasant down there. I was hosted by Gardner Chess, one of the biggest scholastic chess operations down there in Queensland. They run a great show. And then I did a road trip to Sydney, drove through Byron Bay. Beautiful. You got to drive on the left bend. Other than that, you'll be fine. It's a great drive.
Okay, so we have last round has started. We have a very solid opening from both sides. Nobody's playing for a big advantage. Ashwath's only win of the tournament was against Wiktor in the first half. Victor's already punched his ticket, but obviously he wants revenge and he wants to win the section instead of coming second. So it's an important game for both players. It would be funny if Ashwath wins and goes 2-0 against Wiktor, coming in last place, beating the first place player twice.
You're exactly right. We're neutral commentators, although Ashwath is on record as saying he learned how to play chess on ChessKid. So, it's kind of nice, right? And again, Ashwath has many years ahead of him playing in the under 13 section. So it's cool that he was able to just come today, but he will definitely be a force in the years to come. If there's a tie for first, Ben, there will be a tiebreaker, no additional chess played. Because this is a round robin, I assume it's Sonnenberg Burger, which is basically, if you beat the players that finish higher instead of doing less against them, you do a little bit. It doesn't matter too much. You'll see them both tomorrow. And then we should remind our viewers, coming up at 2 p.m. today, Eastern time, whatever time it is where you are, that's in 3 hours. 12, right. 11 to 12. Yeah, 3 hours.
That's right.
And we're going to see some names that including players like Bodana, and we're going to see a couple of American players, and we're going to check in and make sure Bodana is done with her league game in England, so she can get to our match time.
I can't play chess because I'm already playing chess.
Yes. I wonder if it's against our fair play policies for you to be multi-tabling and playing your classical game while playing. I'm sure it is, and I'm sure that won't come to that, but I'm sure Bodana can manage her time and find a way to play both.
So we have an equal position, but Ashwath has an extra minute on the clock. Still looking good for Ashwath. Maybe he can get his second victory against the same opponent.
Yeah, he's got his number somehow. Wiktor still looks totally invested in the game, totally clued in. I can guarantee you that just because he is advancing, and he probably knows he's advancing, that doesn't mean there's any let up in the game. You still want to do well because as a chess player, you are defined by this game. There's no way you would just throw in the towel in a game. I've got a mate threat, F4.
Mate. That's good.
It's one time the F pawn was not heated by the computer.
Mm-hmm. White has two bishops. Black has very nice control of the E4 square, very active pieces. The engine says it's about equal with a slight preference to black because black's pieces are so good. And the bishop on B2 doesn't really have a lot of great things to do except trade itself off for the knight.
Yeah, B4. Wait, can you just play queen takes rook? Oh, there's a mate. Okay. That was, by the way, the correct rook. Yeah, can.
That's right. The other rook.
It would be a very quick way to move on to the Sunday semifinals and not play any more chess.
The cap score really likes the way the players are playing. Very high numbers.
Indeed, you're right. This b4 move, although it kicks the knight, it puts yet another pawn on the dark square, and that was White's major problem after all, was that bishop. So in a long-term sense, I'm not sure I love the pawn being on b4.
Yeah, I think White just made a
Bishop.
threat because Black has much less time, although Black is catching up. Yeah, it's actually
Yep.
surprising what you pointed out earlier. There's no Nakamura-esque somebody playing super fast, getting absurd time advantage. Everybody's taking their time and trying to play correctly, and they're not just blitzing and hoping their opponent blunders in time trouble. I guess that's a singular thing that only Nakamura can do. Play excellent chess and play instantly.
Yeah, you're right. This queen is dominating. She's threatening 3 of the weak pawns for White. The only game I can recall where some player just went completely crazy and playing so quick out of the opening was that, I think it was Reyaansh who just dropped a couple of pawns but had full compensation but was playing super quick, which leads me even more to believe that somehow he knew that position, which just shows his level, if in fact I'm right. We'll ask him actually in our post-game interview here.
Boy, White's catching up on time, or Black is, I mean. Time disadvantage isn't so terrible anymore. Black won a pawn because, as you pointed out, the queen was attacking all those pawns. G2 pawn was the most important. Yeah, you were right. B4 wasn't good. Black just took it.
It's like I knew.
"27 seconds to 8. Black has big advantage on the board. White has a big advantage on the clock.
I do want to let you know,
complicated?
Matthias is about to have an upset here. Matthias is totally winning against Reyaansh, and Reyaansh has almost no time. So if Reyaansh goes down, I'm sure Victor doesn't have time to look at that game. Victor just needs a draw, and Victor will finish first place in Group A. Can Black hold at least a draw in this position? It's looking pretty good. Yeah, so great job by Matthias recovering to beat Reyaansh.
All Black has to do is draw this game, and he wins the section.
Yeah, unfortunately, Victor's so low on time, he would have no way of checking that. But he also knew going into the round that a win would do wonders for his first place chances. Not exactly guaranteed, but hard to see how Black could possibly lose this position.
He could lose on time. Blunder in time trouble. Yeah. Although both sides have like 1 second now.
Increment definitely coming into play. And there we go. With a repetition.
Draw by reputation.
Draw by reputation. Victor's reputation has definitely improved. Well, his chess standing has 7 out of 10. And with that draw, Victor finishes in first place with 7 out of 10 as Reyaansh suffers a defeat, but one that he could absorb. Reyaansh still advances with 6.5 out of 10 in second place. Congratulations to Victor. Looks like he's playing from his home in Poland, although he's been pretty active recently playing in Iceland. That does not look like Iceland, although how would I know? It's just a house.
And all the games are finished, Mike.
Great. Let's call up those final standings. And we are going to have Reyaansh interviewed. If Reyaansh, you can stay up a little bit longer there in Australia. But the final standings, we have Victor with 7 points, only lost a couple of games. Reyaansh, after leading for a good part of the second half, still manages to qualify in second place. Andre comes up just short. That round 9 game, a little bit heartbreaking for our Romanian friend. We didn't even talk about the chess renaissance in Romania, but it's definitely happening. Great job, Andre, finishing with +2. And Mark, the world under-12 champion, with a very respectable even score. And Matthias beating Reyaansh in the last round. Great job there, finishing with 3.5 out of 10. And our youngest player, who will certainly be coming back in future competitions, and actually scored against the tournament leader, against Victor, scored 1.5 out of 2. Ashwant finishes in 6th place. Ben, does it surprise you about Reyaansh going on and Wiktor going on. I'm guessing these are not players you really knew a lot about going into today.
No, and as I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if anybody came in the top 2, although secretly I assumed the favorite would be the world under 12 champion, just like the rest of the chat did. We were all wrong. He didn't win, but a lot of decisive games, a lot of important games throughout the tournament. We saw one game celebrating victory. We saw a lot of other kids that seemed less happy after their game, because the games change so quickly. The last 10 moves of the game, both sides have less than 10 seconds. So emotions can run high. And that's not because they're kids. That's anybody does that. And it was very exciting to watch. It was heartbreaking for some of the players, but we have our top 2 finishers. We don't need any tie breaks, and we're going to see those guys tomorrow.
Okay, well, we're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we're going to hear from at least Reyaansh first. Reyaansh getting second place and advancing to tomorrow. Reyaansh has been interviewed by Sagar several times on ChessBase India, but he makes his Chess.com debut. I already know he's a good interview because I watched those other Sagar interviews before today, so I'm very much looking forward to talking to Reyaansh, who's going to stay up late with us. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to get to hear from some of the players who advanced to tomorrow's semifinals in the ChessKid Youth Championship. We'll see you very soon.
I chose to play the Sicilian as my main weapon with black about 35 years ago. E4, C5. C5 is an excellent move that controls the D4 square, and when white plays D4, we're ready to capture it. This is, of course, on the Sicilian, and I think it's a really good opening for beginner and intermediate players. A lot of lower-level club players only know E4, E5. You'll have excellent chances out of the opening, and I chose the variations carefully based on my own experience of playing the Sicilian. Knight B5, we play queen b4. Now our queen can escape to a5, which defends c7. It looks good to fork the pieces, but after king d8, all of white's pieces are attacked. So knight takes, queen takes c3 check, attacking the king. We're going to take the bishop next move. Black has an extra pawn, and this knight is trapped.
We have some ChatGPT questions for you.
You've risen quickly through the ranks of elite chess. What do you think has been the key to your rapid improvement? I think it's just that I love what I'm doing, and I spend most of my time with chess, and I'm mostly curious about chess, and I try to learn something every day. So I think that is the key to my improvement and in general. What role does mental resilience play in your success, and how do you stay mentally strong during long and exhausting games? Yeah, for sure. Any sport or any field in life, I think being mentally tough is quite important these days. And for sure, I've had a lot of tough moments, like a really long game that I've lost, and I had to play a next game against a very strong opponent. Like a lot of these situations, and I think being able to let go and just focus on what's important at the moment is quite important. And staying strong in long games, I'm generally able to outplay my opponents the longer the games go. And I think being physically and mentally strong, being able to focus for long periods of time is quite important. How much time do you typically dedicate to opening preparation versus middle game tactics and endgames? I think at this level, it's most of the time is dedicated to openings, but as I'm still young and evolving, I do spend quite some time with middle game, analyzing my games, etc., and studying end games as well. But yeah, I think most of the time, by a large margin, is spent on opening preparation. If you could compete in a tournament against any historical chess player, who would it be and why? I've always wanted to compete against Fischer because I consider him the greatest genius of chess has ever seen, and I think it would be it's an experience it's just I think very special for any chess player, and Fischer has played I think the stories and the games I've seen of him, I've heard about him, have really impacted me a lot. So yeah, it'd be Fischer.
We're about to find out, honey. We just got started, so I'll let you know.
And the rebounder, Richardson. Still an opportunity with a minute to play.
Welcome back, everybody. Pool A is done in the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship. 2 players have advanced, Reyaansh Chakrabarti and Wiktor Golis. We're going to talk to both of them, but we've got Reyaansh first because, Ben, it might be past his bedtime. Reyaansh, congratulations and thank you for joining us. What time is it where you are?
1 a.m.
1 a.m. Have you ever stayed up this late before?
Oh, no. I'm surprised how I'm not tired.
You look great. Did you do anything to prepare for staying up late? Did you take like a nap today or something?
Oh, no, it's like the whole day I stayed up. I stayed up the whole day and played, I guess.
Okay. Well, you did great. Ben, do you have questions for Reyaansh?
Yeah, are you more nervous playing against the best players in the world or more nervous getting interviewed by me and Mike?
Yeah, I think both are a bit.
Both make you nervous? Yeah.
Well,
congratulations, you did really well.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to always watch ChessKid videos, and yeah, it's nice to finally be interviewed by ChessKid.
When you were younger, what? That's what I say.
All right. Well, you are definitely an example of what is possible on ChessKid. So thank you, Reyaansh. We did not pay him to say that. But actually, Reyaansh, let me ask you, I watched an interview that you did with Chess Base India, and you said that it wasn't me that taught you chess on ChessKid. It was actually your grandmother. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is your grandmother good at chess?
No. She bought me a chessboard. So, yeah, she bought me a chessboard, but other than that, she didn't help me get better or anything. She just introduced me to the game, and from there, I watched ChessKid videos when I was very young. Yeah, that's basically how I learned to get better.
Well, that's great. She provided the spark that you needed. Let me ask you about today, Reyaansh. In round 2, you were black, I believe, against Ashwanth. and you lost a couple of pawns in the opening, but
Yes.
you you played really fast and well. Did you know that black was okay after losing those pawns?
Yeah, I mean, it was like it's a well-known line, but still, like it's not easy to play because I'm down so many pawns. But at the same time, like it's also not very easy for white to play.
Yeah,
that's
it
kind
was
of
we were impressed because at first we thought you just lost a couple of pawns, but you were playing so quickly and we saw that you had compensation. Then me and Ben changed our minds and said, I bet he knows some theory that we don't know.
Yeah, I bet you know a lot of theory we don't know. I have a question. Before the day started, did you think you were one of the favorites to come in first and second and go to tomorrow, or are you a little surprised?
No, I thought I was like one of the heavy underdogs. Like I thought I would have no chance at coming first or second. Like I thought if like I get like 3 or 4 points out of 10, I'd be lucky.
Wow.
So,
Well,
yeah,
it just
it was
goes to
not-
show you.
Yeah, I mean, I did not expect this at all.
Okay, you're very humble. We have some questions from the chat. Frank asks us, can you tell us about what is your daily training routine? For example, how do you balance school and your chess training and your other activities?
Yeah, so actually, I do go to school. So, I mean, yeah, I guess like on school days, I guess like I don't really study much in the morning. I get up, I go to school, and when I come back, I guess I start like start training. But days when there's no school, I guess like maybe when I get up at like 9 or 8 o'clock in the morning, that's kind of when I just start doing chess. So, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I take some breaks, of course, because otherwise I'll get burnt out. But yeah, I mean, I think to do chess whenever I can. That's why.
Wow. You wake up thinking about chess. That's great. Just one more question from chat. What else are you interested in besides chess? What are your other hobbies?
Good question. Maybe like I like playing handball at school. But I mean, yeah, it's mainly just like something I play for fun, I guess. That's like a past. So yeah, maybe some sports. I don't know.
That's great. Not a sport we play very much in USA, but I do watch it once every 4 years at the Olympics.
It's like I mean, I don't know, like it's like I think in USA you might call it Foursquare. I think it's kind of. I mean, yeah, I kind of play Foursquare.
Got it. That is popular. I do have one more question. It's actually a statistics question. I'm hoping that you can save me from doing research. Reyaansh, I heard in an interview that you want to be Australia's youngest ever grandmaster. Of course, we hope you do. But I don't know who has the record. Can you tell us who has the record?
I think I know the record holder is probably Grandmaster Anton Smirnov. I think he got it at like 16, but I don't know. I don't know exactly, but like I really think I'm like very likely to break that record. Like I'm trying to become at like, firstly like my goal right now is to become the youngest in the world. As my classical FIDE rating is 2346, so yeah, I'm kind of aiming to like become the youngest in the world, like the youngest here. But if not, then like maybe I'll try to become like by 13 or at least by 14. So yeah, I think I have like a very good chance at becoming a grandmaster by a young age.
Great. And you're 10 years old now, so you've got a little bit of time left. And I know this, Ben, if you're the world's youngest grandmaster, then you're also Australia's youngest ever grandmaster. So that is great. Ben, do you have any other questions for Reyaansh?
I want to interrupt. I have an important question.
Please go for it.
You didn't expect to go to day 2, as you said. Now that you're going to day 2, based on my mathematical calculations, you're going to start tomorrow at 1 a.m. Is that right, Mike?
Well, it starts at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We actually do leave ourselves. Well, we do leave ourselves some flexibility on whether or not to move it up. But yes, it's going to be another late night, unfortunately, Reyaansh. So whatever you did today, do it again. That's all I'm going to say.
So yeah, I mean, will tomorrow be like 4 players, like 2 from each group? Or?
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be a knockout. So the semifinals is best of 4 games. And if you win that, then you move on to the finals, which is a best of 6 games. So it's actually a little bit less chess, more than likely.
Still gonna be very tough, though.
Yeah. And it is going to be tough. Reyaansh, I was going to ask you if you're going to watch Group B, but I know you're not. Okay. I'm not your parent, but I demand you go to sleep. Okay. You can watch Group B when you wake up. All right, buddy?
I think for now, I'll like watch the commentary, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, you can watch it on replay. Okay. Well, I want to thank Reyaansh for staying up late. I know it's not easy for our Aussie friends. He's going to get some sleep. So we're going to let him go. Congratulations. We'll see him tomorrow before we close out the show. Thank you, Reyaansh, for joining. Let's take a look at one final look here at our standings. You can see Reyaansh qualified. Hopefully we'll hear from Wiktor tomorrow. But Wiktor also qualifies in first place. Andre just misses out. Mark had a great recovery in the second half of the event. Matthias got a win in that final round. It's like, when you hit a great shot on the 18th hole in golf, you feel great. Hopefully, Matthias, you feel great after that last round. And Ashwant did pretty good against the number 1 player, and he has that to hang his hat on. We will see a lot of Ashwant in the coming years on ChessKid. Group B coming up in 3 hours, Ben, at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot more stars. You may even know a few more of these stars. Let's take a look at that. Ben, who are we going to see in a couple hours?
We got the only IM in the tournament, Aaron Mendez from Canada. Then we have 3 Americans playing, FM Patrick Liu, FM Andrew Jing, WFM Megan Paragua. And then we have 2 British players, Supratik Banerjee, and probably the most famous 8-year-old I've ever heard of in chess, Borana Svanadhan. So we're supposed to be neutral, but there's 3 Americans playing. What do you want me to do? We're supposed to be neutral?
We'll do our best. Bodana has officially reached Gukesh status in my book. We just go by one name with her, if you ask me. But yeah, it's going to be great. I think if it's as unpredictable as Group A was, we're in for a real treat, because as these players are so young, as Reyaansh pointed out, he's now 23-46 FIDE. He's gained 150 points. So we really don't know who is the favorite in that event. But Bodana has taken down Wesley and maybe even Hikaru online. So she is, actually, I don't think she's beaten Wesley or Hikaru. I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit here, but maybe she'll become the next. I was trying to suggest she might become the next Alice Lee. But anyway, she's a great person over the board and in real life. So we'll see you in a couple hours. Ben, thank you so much. Get some rest yourself. I will see you
Mike.
at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, I'll
Great
see you later.
You guys, and see you for Pool B at 2 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everybody.